Hello, welcome to Blue Rose Podcast. I'm Karen Barner, your host. Blue Rose Podcast is dedicated to women looking to take leadership of themselves to be better outwardly leaders. They do this by reconnecting into their stories, rewiring these stories so they'll be more supportive, more encouraging of them, and reignite their possibilities. To that end, I want to discuss, I have talked for years about three key questions. And the three key questions I've talked about is, who are you, who do you want to be, and how do you get there? But I have to do a course correction. I was talking to somebody this morning. Actually, I was doing a video this morning. I did the three questions, and all of a sudden, when I finished, I got this like a lightning bolt from the heavens that said, Karen, how to get there is not that hard. You just give them a roadmap. And when they have a roadmap, they follow the roadmap and they know how to get there. It's like saying, how do you get from Pennsylvania to California or Arizona to Canada? The question is, who do you have to become to get there? When I heard that, it was like, wow, that is so true. It's who am I right now? Who do I want to be? But who do I become to be that person? Does that make sense? It's like, who do I want to be? And then who do I have to become to be that person? In other words, what stories do I need to repair, fix, rewire? Because we all tell ourselves stories, and we tell our stories of success, but a lot of us get caught in the stories of failure, the stories of, if only I would have gone left instead of right, if only I would have taken that job, if only I wouldn't have done this on this job, if only I would have gone to college, didn't go to college, started my job earlier, believed in myself more. It's like I talk to clients because as y'all know, I do a lot of one-on-one coaching. And in fact, I'm getting ready to introduce my retreats, my all-day retreats here in Phoenix, Arizona, for women that are just ready to do a deep dive, that don't want to spend 1 or 2 hours or 90 days. They want to get on it now. They want to sit down and figure it out all at one time. That's how I am. That's what I resonate to. I went to a retreat last week for the first time in years, and I thought, this is it. When you spend the whole day on yourself, everything becomes crystal clear. So I will be introducing a retreat soon. But, a lot of people, so I was talking to this customer, like I was saying, and a client of mine, and she was talking about, Karen, I've read all the books. I read Think and Grow Rich, Waddle's books. I've read Success Systems That Never Fail, Clement Stone, Oprah, all these leading thought, Gabby Bernstein, all these people that have written all these books on, what you think about, you bring about, and law of attraction and all that. And it's not working. And it's like, it's not working. And I looked at her, it's not working because you don't believe in yourself. You haven't become that person. You know who you are. You know what you want. But you have to figure out who you have to become. And if you're not that person that can believe in your heart that you can make $1 million, you're not going to. If you're not that person that believes in your heart that you can lose the 50 pounds you want to lose, you're not going to. It all begins with your belief system. You have to believe in what you're saying, because you can say it all day long to people. I'm going to start my own business and be the #1 YouTuber in the world. But if you don't believe it, you're not going to accomplish it. Because then what's going to happen is you're going to keep saying things like this, but you're not going to achieve it, and you're just going to beat yourself up, and you're going to get caught on that hamster wheel of, I know I can do this. I know I can build the best business ever, the best lipstick business ever. But if you don't believe you can, then you won't. If you don't have the knowledge, you can't. You have to have the belief system in place. When I started Arizona Alpha 25 years ago, when there was nothing, we founded assisted living, I believed I could do it. I didn't have the skill set. I hadn't led anything in my life. I never built anything. I never did financials. I never did any of that stuff. But I believed I could. I believed in my heart I could. And therefore I did. When I started my own business, my own side hustle, I didn't share the same self-belief, obviously. And that's odd. Because if I could do it here, why couldn't I translate it? Until I had to sit down and say, well, here it's Arizona Alpha. If I fail, that's Arizona Alpha. It's not me. When in reality, we are kind of intertwined. But over here, it's solely Karen Barner. So if I fail, it's me. Which got into a lot of thinking about people pleasing and what other people think and what do I think about myself. And that's a conversation for another day. But if you don't have what you deeply desire, it's beliefs. You've got to believe it in your heart. And that's another reason why I started the retreat. So I could help people believe in their heart to look within. What shadows are you carrying? What were you told? Whose other story are you living? Because that's what beliefs are. They're other people's versions of you. It's other people telling you you're not smart enough, you're not good enough, you're not this or that or this and that. It's not you. Because when you reconnect within, when you really sit down and look at yourself, you realize how amazing you are. How fantastic, when you sit down and you look at your most successful moment in your life and you think, man, I was on fire. I was unstoppable. That's what you have to lean into. If you're over here hitting your head against a wall, constantly trying to do something, and you're banging your head against a wall, that might not be your calling. It may not be what you're supposed to be doing right now. When I started my business 10 years ago, it was a struggle. I have pounded my head against a wall until I finally realized, you know what, Karen? It's not time. You're not done over here. You have so much to do over here. You're not ready over here. Until during COVID, all of a sudden, I was like, oh, I can do both now. I can do both on a parallel course. I get it. Because I'm ready on both sides. I'm on both sides of the equation. I'm ready to do this and have time for this. So if you're pounding your head against a wall, ask yourself, is it time for me to accomplish that? Maybe it's not time yet. Maybe the idea isn't fully formulated. Or maybe you aren't ready for it. Self looking within, reconnecting within is hard. It's not easy. But the rewards are unbelievable. The person I was in 2019 and the person I am today are radically different. And I can say the person I was in 2019 was radically different than the person I was in 2012. Because you keep evolving, we keep growing. And through COVID, when you sit in your office, for a couple of years by yourself because you sent your team home, a lot of time to think. And I know a lot of you women coming out of COVID, coming out of that whole thing, are looking around and saying, what's next? And more importantly, who am I? That's a question. You got to do that deep dive. And then when you figure out what your story is, what's that go-to story that you always tell yourself to hold yourself back? Oh, I'm not smart enough to apply for that job. Or, why would anybody be coached by me? Well, I don't, what do I know about coaching? What do I know about therapy and all that? I know what healed me. I know what techniques and that I used on myself. So I'm living proof that it works. And I love the story where you have, a guy walking down the road and he falls into this sinkhole. And this, priest walks by and he yells out, Father, can you help me get out? And the father said, sure. And he wrote down a prayer and threw it into him. And he's like, what good's this doing me? This isn't getting me out. The next person that comes by is a doctor. He's like, Dr. Bob, can you help me get out? And he said, sure. And he writes a prescription and throws it into the sinkhole. Guy's like, well, how's that going to get me out? The next person that shows up is his friend Dave. And he's like, Dave, can you get me out? And Dave jumps into the sinkhole with him. And he's like, what the hell are you doing getting in the sinkhole with me? And Dave goes, easy. I've been here before. I know the way out. I've been here before. I've reconnected. I've rewired. And I've ignited my possibilities. So I know the way out. I know not only how to get you to where you're going to, but how to change your stories, how to recreate more empowered stories, how to tell yourself better stories. The stories that when you get up in the morning, you're like, oh yeah, that's who I am. I'm that person. Not you don't get up and say, oh man, I got to go to work and, the office, I don't really like everybody there and my job, I just don't like my job. And then I got to go home and cook and take care of the kids. Oh, I love my kids are great. And then I got to do this. No, that's not what life is. Life is to be lived with your hair on fire. I mean, when you see people that are loving what you're doing, and how many times you look and think, what's their recipe? What are they doing right? They know who they are. Every day they wake up, it's like, okay, this is who I want to be today. oh boy, this is who I get to be tomorrow. This is who I get to be the next day. And when you step into that person, it's amazing because you're so excited, you're energized. So if your energy level's here, we're going to get it up to there. If your story is a Eeyore story, we're going to get it up to a Tigger story, where you're going to want to bounce, and tell everybody how wonderful things are. So ask yourself the 3 questions. Who am I? Who do I want to be? And whom do I have to become to be that person? The how we'll work on. That how won't take time at all. It's the who do you have to become? What story do you have to tell? So who are you? Who do you want to become? And what stories do you need to tell yourself to get you there? What do we need to heal? What do we need to move forward on? How do we reconnect? How do we rewire? How do we reignite? I really hope this helped you guys. I sometimes feel like I get so excited that I go all over the place because I know this is the key that's going to unlock the door for so many of you guys. So many. Because you sit there and it's like, okay, I know who I am now. Okay, I know who I want to become. And I've done all the work, so I know how. I know all the steps. But I never told you who you have to become. We have to figure out who you need to become and then work towards that person. To give you the confidence to go after that person. To wake up every morning and look at your little note that you have written on a piece of paper and you're like, yep, I'm going to become that person. That's me. That's who I am. Not even going to become that. That's who I am. Every day you're going to get up and you're look at your note and say, yep, that's who I am. I'm ready. Let's go. Okay, so if you have any questions, DM me, put them in the comments below. Go over to my free group, Spiritual Confidence. And right there, go to my YouTube channel, Karen Barno. They have handles now, so my handle is Karen Barno. And if you just want to talk, let's talk. Check out my TikTok channel. I talk about 3 millionaires and a billionaire, what I learned over the years from my friends, my 3 millionaires and a billionaire friend. It is not to say, look at me, look at how many millionaire people I know. It's how gracious they are, how willing they are to teach people, how willing they were to teach me all the lessons they've taught me over 25 years. So I talk about that over there as well. So here's to you finding your blue rose, and welcome to the future Blue Rose Leadership. Talk to you guys later. Thank you for your time and bless you.